Hello and welcome to another episode of Cook It and Eat It here on Jim Johnston Reviews the World. Now today I got something for you. Another one of our lean times, make the best out of what you have recipes. We're going to try apple cobbler with the addition of some mangoes. So that old sweet tooth was itching me and I wanted something sweet and a little bit savory and delicious. So I decided, hey, I got some apples sitting around, they're getting a little old. I'd like to make some cobbler. Well, didn't have all the stuff I needed to make a formal cobbler, but we'll get into that later, and we got some creative and interesting substitutes for you. Now let me move all this extra stuff out of the way. Alright, I've gone ahead and moved everything we didn't need for now out of the way. We'll get to all that later. I washed and dried my apples. You can see these apples, they got a little bit of age on them. They got some spots, which this is why it's a perfect thing to go ahead and slice them up and make a little makeshift cobbler out of it. I've got my crock pot for now set to low. I've put a healthy tablespoon of butter in there to let that start melting. And we're going to core and slice the apples. And we're going to knock these mango chunks down into smaller pieces. And so what we have here is 5 apples, 4 on the small side, one's a little bit bigger, and then we got a full 10-ounce bag of frozen mangoes. All this other stuff in the background comes later. Actually, some of this is just sitting here because it's too big to fit in my cabinet the way I'd like it to. So we're going to cut these up. As I cut everything up, I'm just going to go ahead and drop it in the crock pot, let it start softening up and doing its thing. And I'm not going to show you all this, so let's get you started. Where's my knife? There's my knife. There's my knife. You know what? That's not a knife. Where's my real knife? Where's my knife? Ah, there it is. Now that's a knife. That'll do some chopping, so here we go. And you can see this one's got some bruises on it. Take those right off. Boom. No problems. Now that's a knife. This will break down an apple, a mango, a pineapple, that neighborhood raccoon. Pretty much whatever you need to break down. This knife is the knife to do it for you. So just slice that up. Nice thinner pieces, kind of like that. So I'm going to go ahead and finish cutting these apples up, getting them in the crock pot, get the mango in the crock pot, and we'll be back with you in just a few minutes. Alright, we're chopping apples. Almost done here. Tell you what, this real man's knife made quick work of these apples. Alright, so finished up the apples. Pour them in. We got the mangoes all cut up. They're kind of in the middle. Alright, so we got our apples all chopped up. Mangoes also all chopped up in there, and I went ahead and added another tablespoon of butter. And now it's time to kind of cobblerify it, start adding some flavor here. So one thing was the makeshift cobbler. I didn't have any flour, any actual regular flour. So this recipe and all is going to use 1 cup of old-fashioned oats. And so I took 1/3 of a cup and I buzzed them up in my coffee grinder. And they smell just the slightest bit like coffee. And we're going to sprinkle those oats in. And that's going to end up kind of being our original, or our binder. Alright, and then we're going to put a 1/2 tablespoon of this Baker's vanilla. And then this is mostly a sweet dish, but we also want a little bit of salt, a little bit of savory. So we're going to go in a little bit seasoned salt. And a little bit of lemon pepper that also has salt in it. And again, that's kind of to give us a little bit of savory. And then I like some ground ginger. A couple, 2, 3, 4 shakes of that. Maybe 1 more. Then of course some cinnamon. I'm going to go in with a pretty nice healthy dose of cinnamon. I like cinnamon. And cinnamon plays really well with apples and really well, surprisingly well with mangoes. And then I'm going to sprinkle in a spoonful of stevia. We got our stevia, and now I want to go in with real maple syrup. We're going to do a full tablespoon of this. This is a 1/2 tablespoon measure. That's just what I had handy. And I've gone ahead and I've turned the crock pot up to high now. And after we get this in, we're going to clamp the lid on and we're going to let it cook for about 20 minutes, just as it is now, without doing anything else to it. We're not going to stir it. I'm guessing total cooking time on this entire thing is going to be about 90 minutes. But again, check down in the description box for the full recipe, because this is kind of being done on the fly as I'm cooking it, but I am making notes so I can provide it for you all at home when I post this video. And then we're going to go with a spoonful of powdered sugar. It helps the medicine go down. And I'm using powdered sugar because that's what I have. I'm actually going to use just a little bit more, maybe another half. And so if you're using granulated sugar, you can use that. And then just to kind of keep the sweetness up but the sugar down is why I've also added that stevia. One more thing, I do want to put a squeeze of lemon juice. We're going to go with some lemon juice. I'm just going to squeeze that right out of the end. And you want probably a teaspoon and a half of lemon juice. This will help to keep things from turning too brown. And also, lemon juice really helps bring out the flavor of apples. So again, we're going to let this cook about 20 minutes, and we'll be right back with you. All right, we're back, and it's actually been about 45 minutes. Pop her open. See what we got. It smells wonderful already. Apples are starting to cook down nicely. Give this a few stirs. Alright, so this is looking pretty good. I did go ahead and sprinkle just a little bit more cinnamon on top. Put the lid back on and let this chill. And then I'm going to show you how I'm going to prepare my makeshift topping. So, right back with you. Alright, now any good cobbler or crumble or whatever you want to call it has a nice topping or crust, so it's going to kind of be upside down in here. We're going to put the crust topping on top. Now I've got here 2/3 a cup of oats, and I already put 3 pinches of standard sea salt in there, and now I want to add some butter to it. So we're going to add about another tablespoon of butter in smaller pieces, and then what you're going to do is you're going to microwave it on low heat for about 25 seconds and get that butter to melt. But you want to do it nice and slowly, so a low heat until that butter's melted. All right, I got that butter melted and stirred into the oats the best I could to get a coating. And then we're going to need to kind of finish up here, a cup of almond milk. So I've already poured in a half cup of the almond milk because my little glass here is only a half cup. And then you want to spread this out, nice thin layer over top the best you can. Again, in the absence of the stuff to make an actual cobbler crust, I'm going to kind of give it a quote-unquote granola. And this would be if you had some slivered almonds or some cashews or something. This would be a good time to come in with some nuts on top. Then I'm just going to pour this milk in on top. I'm going to clamp the lid back on, and we're going to let that cook on high for another hour. See what happens. Okay, I cooked this thing on high for another hour, and then what I did is I went and took the lid off, gave it a look. It was looking pretty good, so I sprinkled a quick handful of oats on the top, just a small handful for garnish, and then I took those literally just a handful of mini marshmallows I had left, and I sprinkled those around. Then I clamped the lid back on, and I went ahead and turned the heat off at that point, let all that radiant heat melt the marshmallows and cook up the remainder of the oats. So let's take a look at what we got here. That is our finished cobbler. Looks pretty amazing. And it's been sitting for about a half hour, 45 minutes. Let's go ahead and scrape down the sides and get in here. And spoon some out. Oh boy. Smells amazing. Cinnamony. Apples are perfectly cooked. Mangoes are perfectly cooked. Don't think it's too hot. Let's see how she tastes. Now this would be phenomenal with some vanilla bean ice cream. But I don't have any of that. No ice cream. Get some crust. Mango and apple. I'm not even sure how to describe it. I gotta go back in for a second bite. Still hot. Cinnamony. Buttery. The oats are chewy, but done. Makes a nice crust for not being baked in an oven. Wow. You have the cinnamon. And then you got just a little bit of salt from that salt that I put in there. A little bit of savory to go with the sweet. I can taste just hints of that maple syrup in there. Perfectly sweet. Really well balanced between the sweet and the savory, which is what I wanted. Oh, wow. Yeah. This is amazing. Well, the question was, can I cobbler with just the things I have together around the house? Could I, pun intended, cobble it together into a nice apple mango cobbler? The answer was yes. This turned into a phenomenal makeshift crockpot cobbler. Check the description down below for the full recipe. Since I was kind of doing this one on the fly, I made notes, and when I upload this video, I will give you a full recipe with cooking instructions. And that's all we have for you today on Jim Johnston Reviews the World. This is another episode of Cook It and Eat It. I thank you for watching. If you like what you see, subscribe, comment, and share with your friends. Have a nice day, and we'll see you again.